Hi guys, today we're going to have a look at adding a colour gradient to a photograph to make it pop a little bit more and just bring up the colours a bit more. So hopefully this will be some use to you. Cheers guys. Hi guys, so here we are in camera raw. This is an image I've not previously worked on, so I've imported it into here and what I have done is I've gone through and adjusted my sliders to get my image to how I want it to look when I open it in Photoshop. So let's open it in Photoshop. Okay. Okay, so that's our image open in Photoshop. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to my layers and I'm going to add a gradient layer. Okay, so when my gradient layer comes up, obviously I've got to toggle down and I can see a lot of different gradients that I can add to this photograph. In this instance, I'm going to open the pinks one up and I'm going to go for a pastel pink overlay. That's my pastel pink gradient fill. So click OK. Okay, so that pulls up, and as you can see, it's pink at the bottom, white at the top, so it's going to affect mostly at the top. And what it does do is it completely blanks out my image below it. So I'm going to change my blend mode, and I want to change my blend mode to soft light. Okay, so just by toggling that on and off, you can see what that gradient has now done to that photograph. It's a bit strong, so I can bring my opacity down a little bit. I'm going to bring my opacity down to about 60% on this one. There we go. And I'll toggle that on and off, and you can see now that that is quite a nice effect that that's having already on that photograph. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my layers and I want to add a color balance layer. So if I go to my color balance layer, immediately that comes up and I've got some sliders there that I can adjust just to change my colors and enrich them a little bit if I want to. Now I don't want this to be blue because it goes ever so cold. So I'm gonna pull it up a little bit into the reds, not too much. Same with my magentas. I'm just gonna enrich the colors a little bit. I just want to bring those greens up a little bit. And again, if I bring the blues up, it's not very nice. But what I am going to do is I'm going to warm it by adding a bit of yellow in there. Okay, so that's how I've got mine. Depending on what photograph you're doing, depends on what levels you're going to put those at. So that if I toggle that on and off, it's a bit subtle, but you can see the effect that that's having on that photograph now. Okay, so I'm going to add another layer, and I'm going to add a levels layer. So my levels layer shows my histogram, and it allows me to bring up my image brightness or darkness and my midtones. And what I am going to do is I'm just going to tweak a little bit because I just like my images to be a bit more vibrant and a bit more contrasty. So if I toggle that on and off, you can see there what's happened. I'm going to leave my opacity for that one up at 100%, and my blend mode is normal again. So I've one more layer to add to this, and I'm going to add a solid color layer. So obviously I want something slightly warm for this photograph. That's a little bit brown. I just want to bring the oranges in a bit more in there. So let's have a look. That's a bit better. I'm just going to put an orange layer over the top of that, and obviously that's going to block out everything underneath it. So what I want to do is I want to bring that into a soft light mode, and as you can see, it's still a bit harsh. So I'm going to bring my opacity down to about 40% in this instance. Okay, so that's just warmed it up nicely, just a little bit on the skin tones and the rocks behind. So that's pretty much all of the layers that I add when I'm doing color gradients. But what I am going to do is I'm going to hit the shift key, click on the top layer and the bottom layer, and it highlights them all. And I'm going to go to Control or Command if you're using a Mac and G, and that will group those layers together. So now you can see the effect from start to finish, and it's a lovely warm image. It's almost evening time now on that image, and that's about how much I use, really. That's about what I do to get a gradient layer on top of my images. Obviously you can tweak it if you want to. You can go back and adjust those, but for the moment I'm going to leave it at that. Okay guys, thanks for watching.